He followed the whispers in the Rockies and never returned. The Rocky Mountains are a spine of ancient stone and ice. They rise like the bones of the earth, carved by glaciers and time. To some they are peace, to others a wall between civilization and the void. But to all who linger too long in their silence, they are something else. A place where the line between memory and myth grows thin. Elias Thorne knew the Rockies better than most. He was a geology student once, turned wilderness guide. He prided himself on rational thought, maps and measurements. He mocked stories told by hunters and locals, laughing at talk of whispers and watchers in the peaks. But Elias had an ambition. He wanted to walk where few had walked, to chart routes forgotten by modern maps. His journals were full of sketches and notes, his shelves stacked with faded survey records. When he discovered mention of an old trail set to cut between two ridges of the divide, he could not resist. He packed light, a small tent, food, maps, and his worn compass. 3 days into the trek, he was alone with the wind and the endless stone. As the 3rd day waned, the light bled across the ridges in red and violet bands. Elias reached a wind-swept rise that overlooked a deep valley, already lost to shadow. There he saw it, a cairn. It was no trail marker built by hikers. It was tall, nearly the height of a man. The stones were set with strange precision, fitted edge to edge like the joints of a skeleton. Its outline against the dying light seemed almost human. And from its crown came a sound, a faint, steady hum. It rose and fell with the rhythm of breath, though no wind stirred the rocks. Elias frowned. Perhaps a hollow in the stones was catching the air. Perhaps a trick of acoustics. He circled it, touched the stone, and felt a coldness sink past his skin into bone. There were markings, too, shallow grooves like worn carvings. Not letters, not symbols he knew, but tangled lines that bent and spiraled until his eyes ached. He snapped photographs and filmed a short clip for later study. Then, uneasy, he set his camp a good distance away. Night fell quickly. The valley sank into silence broken only by the hum. Even inside the tent Elias heard it, faint yet steady, as if the ground itself carried the vibration. He lay down and closed his eyes. The sound did not fade. It lived inside his jaw, in his teeth, in the hollow of his skull. He shoved in earplugs, but the hum pressed on, unshaken. Hours passed. He swore he heard something hidden in the tone. Not random, but layered, like distant voices buried in the drone. One moment they were sobs, the next they were fragments of a song, drifting and broken. His breathing quickened. Exhaustion dragged at his limbs, but sleep would not come. When he sat upright, the tent walls trembled as if something large had moved just outside. His lamp flickered across the fabric, catching a fleeting shadow. There was no wind. Then the whispers began. At first a rustle like leaves, then syllables that carried meaning without words. They spoke of loss, of cold, of being forgotten. They echoed his own thoughts, twisted and repeated. "You are alone," they hissed. "No one will remember you." His heart hammered as the voices grew louder. He clutched his head, pressed his palms to his ears, but the sound came from within. Outside, dark shapes circled the cairn. They shifted and bent like smoke, yet held weight enough to shake the earth. Panic took him. He grabbed his phone. No signal, no bars, only the hum, only the whispers. A crushing voice pressed into his mind. Not heard, but felt. It spoke of cycles and offerings, of ages spent in emptiness. It craved warmth and memory, the spark of life. Elias staggered from the tent with a hiking pole clenched in white knuckles. The air was heavy, vibrating with the hum. The cairn glowed faintly, pale light leaking from cracks between stones. The shadows circled faster. The whispers rose into a chorus. Drawn against his will, Elias stumbled to the cairn and laid his hands upon it. The glow surged. His own scream joined the voices. Then there was silence. Weeks later, a search team followed his route. They found his tent intact, his gear neatly packed. No Elias, no body, no sign of struggle. Only the cairn remained, taller than before, perfectly balanced. Most dismissed it as the work of hikers or wind, but the locals who whisper of the high Rockies knew better. The cairn had claimed a new silence, and now it waits, patient as stone, for the next echo.